Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the PRL LMP2 Le Mans Series. We're at Road America today. These are cars designed and renowned for their endurance racing, but where they really shine is in these 60-minute races we put on with the Precision Racing League. We can see plenty of fantastic action, and it goes right down to the wire. We've got all the action coming up to you tonight live on the Global SimRacing Channel. My name is Ryan Jones, alongside me Peter Mackay, and Joe Peak is behind the scenes using the cameras provided by Dougie Beard. And we can dive down as well thanks to Joe Peak and have a look at our GSRC track guide.
Welcome to Road America. Nicknamed America's National Park of Speed, it's easy to see why just by looking at how the track is laid out. Long straights are a major feature, and drivers will build up incredible momentum before they find themselves interrupted by tight 90-degree corners. In fact, for a 4-mile circuit, it has shockingly few turns. It also has little in the way of variation in layouts. The main course is only broken up once with a single chicane added in the bend version. But don't take this to mean that it's a boring track. Elevation change happens many times over a lap, with a few places taking you into corners which are quite blind. But two of the turns on the back half of the course are perhaps the most distinctive. One is the carousel with its more than 180-degree radius. It just feels like it never stops. The other is the kink. Terrifyingly fast with very little runoff, it can end someone's race in a flash. As you'd expect, the heavy braking zones make for some ideal overtaking spots. Turn 5 sees plenty with its downhill entry. The hurried downs can offer drivers a chance at a sneak attack if you're brave, and then Canada Corner gives you one last shot before the lap is over. It's no wonder major organizations such as IMSA, IndyCar, NASCAR, and the SCCA all host major races here. All in all, many drivers rate this track as the best track in North America. Many who hop in the seat and try it can quickly understand why.
You said while we were off the air there, Peter, that these cars and this track, it's almost like a match made in heaven, so to speak. Well, what do you think about them?
Well, these are wonderful cars, these Dallara P217, of course, brand new in the last couple of weeks to iRacing, and well, they have been incredibly popular from the off. And of course, this wonderful Road America layout, 4 miles and lots of big long straights and fast corners, which is what these cars love to see. Also some pretty big braking zones, particularly down into turn 5. That's going to be the real passing opportunity, which we're going to see, and I'm sure we'll see some action there as well. The circuit, actually the only circuit left in North America which retains its original layout from 1955. So it's old school in feel, but that's what makes it so exciting, and I can't wait to see this amazing quality of field take these Dallara P217s to the limit here in this qualifying session.
And neither can I. As always, today's race is brought to you by SimSA. Simulation MotorSports Affinity provides many consulting services from completely customizing simulators to managing teams, individual drivers, and complete events. They're working hard to bring organizations, companies, manufacturers, teams, and drivers together at one place to support and promote sim racing internationally. They're also bridging virtual and real motorsports by providing a network between these two, involving sim racers, real drivers, teams, managers, engineers, and of course, motorsport fans alike. You can find out more about how you can get involved at simsa.net. In today's broadcast, also proudly sponsored by ButtKicker. ButtKicker products add an incredible immersion.
So it looks like we have lost our my esteemed Australian colleague, Ryan John. Oh, he's back.
Nope, that was just the internet catching up with me, but I am back now. The internet catches up and it spits out all my words at a very rapid pace. As I was saying, yeah, thanks, ButtKicker. Check them out at thebuttkicker.com. Hey, let's look at our championship here, Peter, because this is round 4. We've done 3 rounds so far. Rodrigo Meeks has emerged as the man to beat at the moment. 6-point gap he has over Carl Modov. Mauricio Cuero there in 3rd, Ada Lucas, Basi Galupo and David Holland in 5th. Very tight across those top 5. And the team standings are pretty tight as well, Peter.
Are indeed. The Punto Racing Red team only 17 points ahead of Delta Sport U4K. Pure Sims eSports are in 3rd with the other 2 Punto Racing teams behind. So plenty of Punto teams in the team standings at the moment, but plenty of time to go. We're only round 4 of a 10-round season, so plenty of racing left.
As I said at the top of the show, 16 minutes ahead of us tonight. A 15-minute qualifying session setting the grid for that race. Open sets. Got to make sure you don't pick up too many incident points. You're going to drive through at 13 incidents and disqualification at 18. Qualifying has 9.5 minutes remaining. Currently, it is Mauricio Cuero that is fastest, and we are watching him as he comes through the final corner. He's just been pipped then by David Holland, who's done a 48.754. Cuero's fastest lap was his previous lap, so I don't expect him to go faster again on this one. But he does, a 7.58, but that keeps him 3rd. Suddenly, there is 0.03 of a second across our top 3.
This is Silverstone all over again. Fantastic competition here at the top of this Precision Racing League LMP2 series. Of course, these cars are so new to everyone here. They've only been on the service a couple of weeks, and well, we can see the fast drivers are always going to be the best guys. And Rodrigo Mies, so quick in the GT cars last season, and he has adapted to this prototype machine beautifully. Let's get Cecil Bagay over. He goes a little bit better. He improves his time. So it moves to 15th position. And Michael Overbay for TQ Engineering comes out of the final corner, gets the power down nice and smooth. Very nice, very difficult to get the power down from the naturally aspirated V8 Gibson engine. 600 horsepower, and he is not going to improve that time around.
Didn't register a lap time at all, in fact. Probably picking up an off-track somewhere through turn 1. And then, yep, that's turn 2. At Pocono. There's a very famous sentence written on the walls there. What turn 4? Well, what turn 2? It is my question, Road America. As we see Christian Liza there in 6th, coming towards the end of his lap. You come out of turn 1, you head down the straight, and suddenly you're in turn 3 already. So figure that one out for yourselves. As Isla comes up the hill, a little crest that comes out of the final corner all the way up towards the start-finish line. 49.078, that's his fastest of the session so far. Keeps him in the 6th, though.
Yeah, so let's see what Mauricio Cuero can do. He's on a 1 minute 48.758, just 34 thousandths of a second coming through turn 13. He's not on a quick one indeed, so you'll just have to go back round again here at Road America. 4 miles long, this circuit, so it's a long old track here to negotiate. Very much a natural flowing circuit, follows the topography of the land of this beautiful glacial Kettle Moraine area where the circuit is based, just outside Elkhart Lake.
And it is 4:45 in sim as well, so getting towards the end of the day in the virtual land of iRacing. Doubt we'll see any sort of sunset on our horizon, but still worth noting. Track temp more likely to go down than it is to go up over the course of the race, as there is the current track temp, 27 degrees Celsius. Horatio Calkin then 4th at the moment. Peter?
Yeah, that should be pretty ideal. If it starts to fall from there, that's pretty perfect conditions for these LMP2 cars, and more specifically their Michelin tyres. which should be pretty comfortable in those temperatures. Quite good cloud cover as well. If you think, what on earth are you talking about? This is a computer game. Well, that is where you are wrong, because the iRacing simulator, incredibly sophisticated piece of technology. All of the cars and tracks are laser scanned to the minute detail, but also the weather conditions have a real-time effect on how the cars perform. The guys at iRacing do an amazing job in replicating all the things that you would find in the real world. But interestingly, Ryan, there doesn't seem to be anyone improving on their times. Most of the drivers gone out and laid a lap down and not able to improve.
If I had a penny for every time I've seen that in a PRL race, it's a theme, isn't it? Rodrigo Meets. We'll see if he can break the mold and go quicker. He'll probably want to. He's not got that much in hand over those guys behind. Got the draft as well, as you say. 48.615 puts a 10th over them. But it's a good improvement from Meet. It's in that draft from his teammate up the road of Mauricio Cuero. Well, Cuero's in the fight for pole. Cuero will be wanting to get that draft back in his favour soon.
I think, yes. I think one favour should be reciprocated with another, because, yes, Rodrigo Mies, that sort of 10th of a second or so that he just improved there, that was all the tow coming up the hill. So I wonder if Mies and Cuero will switch over and reciprocate. Maybe not. To get David Holland over the line, he doesn't improve, so he'll have to go around once more. Sitting in second right now. I want to see if Mies can improve again. If he follows Cuero one more lap, he might go even quicker.
Might get too close, though, and get caught up through the corners. Here's Ignacio Rodriguez Fridas. He's just lost a spot on the timing sheets as we followed him. See if he can claw it back. Fastest for him is a 49.394. And it will stay a 49.394 as he fails to register a time. On that trip around, there is Mauricio Cuero, and there is Rodrigo Meets behind him. They haven't swapped around. Cuero might feel he's on a good lap here, doesn't want to get behind Meets.
Oh, he's gunning it, yeah.
He is.
He's dropped, I think he's dropped Meets.
Might have, but Meets will get it back up this straight. If Cuero's in a good lap, Meets will suddenly win a very good lap as well once he gets this draft. And we'll see what the times are. Looking to beat a 48.615. Cuero, if he wants to go to pole, will need to do it without the draft, it would seem. Oh, 618. 3,000 slower than his teammate. That is all the draft, my friend. That is all in the draft.
Oh my word, that's let's hope they get on well. We see that in the motorcycling world quite a lot, where people get a tow, and you actually get a lot of problems in qualifying with riders going slow and dithering around waiting for a tow, and it can end up being quite dangerous. But yes, that is amazing. 0.003 of a second, like you say, that's the tow and more. David Holland comes over. Can he do it on his own? My
yes.
word. He improved. He improved.
Fight. The top
he's
three.
done.
The top three, 29 thousandths of a second, or 300ths, whatever you want to round it to. That is as tight as it gets. The rest of the field's a quarter of a second back. What a three-way fight we've got in qualifying with just over 2 minutes remaining. David Fishman, can he throw his hat in the ring? At the moment, he's just about 3/10 away. That can be found with the slightest of improvements through any of these corners. The Fishman, a draft as well, would go a long way to boosting him up the order. Through Canada corner. And then through the very fast penultimate corner into the final corner where the exit's so important.
He's really smooth there through Canada corner. Very impressive from David Fishman. It's a tricky corner there, because this car really doesn't like trail braking. You often lock the brake up quite easily, but no, he's not going quicker. So, well, this is the second week in a row, Ryan, that we've had the top three covered by, well, about a hair's width.
A hair's width. I'm glad that's the one you went for there. There was a lot of different comparisons, and I did think of a PG one. Rodrigo meets
for Whisker.
Yeah, something about a B for me. Enzo Montecinos is in 8th, 49.303. Bit of a gap between himself and the next group, which is the P4 through P7 battle. He can eclipse that gap with a 0.3 of a second improvement. 44 seconds left on the clock. He's going to get there to have another lap after this, but that will then be his final lap as he rises the crest. Absolutely planted that foot to the floor. 48.882, there you go. Goes to 5th. Well and truly eclipsed that gap.
You'll get one more go then. Will Enzo Montecinos. Let's see what Steve Gaori can do. He's got someone right in the draft there. Who is that behind him in that almost Swedish colour? That is Villandia. Number Sean Villandia in the 51 car. He gets a good old toe up there and improves his lap time up to 11th spot as well. So who would have thought we would have had a Draft Fest qualifying session, Ryan? This is very exciting.
This is great stuff, a great precursor to our 60-minute race, as well as Fishman abandons his final lap, practices his pit entry, which is going to be crucial as well. Pit stops will be needed to make it home today. Hugo Galaz currently finds himself in 28th position, last of the runners. If he can find a couple tenths, he can leapfrog Kenny Rodriguez as he comes to the line. What can he get in that Black Fire Motorsports car? It is an improvement that puts him 25th. Not bad as Rodrigo Meets crosses the line, and he goes faster still, a 5.74. The new benchmark time. Rodrigo Munoz in 20th there. We'll stay 20th. I couldn't find him on the timing sheets then. Byron Daly's 24th. Still got a couple corners left to go. 0.2 of a second will move him up a row on the grid. A minute and a half left on the clock. One of the final drivers to do their laps.
Your Byron Daly, the oval racer, he's coming up the hill. Can he improve on his 1 minute 50.411? He can. He can. That moves him up a couple of spots. But yeah, Rodrigo Mies right on the flag there, just adding a little bit of a gap. And it's, well, he's doubled the gap to 3rd place, which is now only 70 thousandths of a second.
Oh, only? Oh, no.
Only. Yeah.
What will he do to eclipse that 70 thousandths of a second? There's an improvement for Gaori. Pops up a few spots as he goes to 9th. Uribe does his fastest of the session, but it stays in 9th with that effort. That is everyone done in qualifying. Let's take a look at your starting grid for the PRL LMP2 series from Road America. Rodrigo Meets has the pole. Mauricio Cuero will start 2nd. David Holland and Nathan Lewis share the 2nd row of the grid, ahead of Enzo Montecinos and Horatio Carquin on row 3. David Fishman and Christian Eisler start from 7th and 8th, ahead of Pablo Valenzuela Uribe and Ignacio Rodriguez Fredes.
On row 6 will be the number 71 of Sean Romig alongside Sean Villandia. Row 7 will be David McDonald and Michele Ferraris. Row 8 will be Ted Londick alongside Chris McGrath. Row 9 will be Stephen Veradi alongside Mark MacDonald. And row 10 will be Michael Overbay and Steve Gaori.
21st, Rodrigo Munoz, Cesar Bagay alongside him, Byron Daly, Christopher Richards, Hugo Galaz, David Cristelli, Sean DeHammel, and Kenny Rodriguez round out our 28-car field for this one. Despite this being a very long track, as you said, 4 miles, 6.5 kilometers, we have a full pace lap ahead of us. One of the few tracks of this length where you have to do a full lap.
I think that's going to be very important. I mean, we mentioned it last time out with at Silverstone, where they have almost no pace lap at all, and there was a few drivers fell foul of that. The one thing about these Dallara P2 cars is they have carbon composite brakes, so they when they're cold, they are completely useless. When they are warm, they feel like you've hit a brick wall. They stop so quickly. So during having a full pace lap is really going to help the drivers to not only get the heat in the tyres, but mainly to get the heat in the brakes. The first couple of corners aren't massively heavy braking zones, particularly turn 2, Ryan, of course, it's a straight. But turn 5 is a downhill braking zone, and it's a heavy braking zone from top gear all the way down to bottom gear. So that is where the drivers are going to want to have plenty of heat in the brakes from this pace lap so that they're ready for the opening lap.
And pit stops as well on this one. Pitting so they can get the car home on fuel. No tyres being taken in those stops, as I said earlier on. Now, these cars built for endurance racing. The tyres that adorn them built to withstand plenty of torture as well. So an hour's race for them is like a walk in the park. That pit window will open somewhere around 20-25 minutes into this race, maybe a little bit earlier. We'll see everyone in before we have about 20 minutes to go. That's generally what we've seen over the first 3 rounds. Drivers getting very dry on their tanks around that period of time.
Yeah, I think the main thing is that when you've, of course, these cars, they're so lightweight, about 900 kilos. They, you know, when you get that down with that weight downwards, the fuel load burns off quite quickly, and you're losing a lot of weight per lap, probably about 4 kilos or so per lap. So when the tank is really dry, these cars just fly. So I think expect the drivers to try and run the tanks as long as they can, unless they're perhaps maybe getting held up in traffic or just want to try a different strategy game. So, but mainly you want to try and run the car as light as you possibly can.
The draft around here could be pretty critical as well. We saw it from Rodrigo Meets. It was the difference between him getting pole and being second until he put in that big final effort, which I still won't say with confidence wasn't without the help of some draft. Obviously that long main straight, plus the run out of turn 3 all the way down to turn 5. Plenty of draft can be used up around there. Can gain you quite a bit of time as long as you don't fight over the rest of the circuit. This corner is flat out, which means all the way out of Carousel down towards Canada Corner. It's one big drafting opportunity. There's a lot of high-speed sections to this track, a lot of flat-out areas, and it could lead us towards a very dicey race.
It could indeed, yes. And of course, after those drafting opportunities, you have excellent overtaking opportunities. Of course, into Canada Corner, there's a good opportunity to stuff it up the inside there. Also, turn 5, that's the real hot spot to watch out for. That is going to be really, really interesting to see who's going to be making the moves in there, because you can set it up all the way down the straight. But we're nearly ready to go, coming around turn 13 and 14, and the pace car will be about to pull in.
The iRacing.com Porsche pace car gonna get out of the way. We'll unleash these Dallara LMP2 machines for 60 minutes on Elkhart Lake, Road America, hosting round 4 of the PRL LMP2 series in the hands of Rodrigo Meets. It is away we go, and up through the gears we go. Green flag is out, and Meets gets away very nicely. Querra as well. Lewis, Holland, and Montecchino is getting very close together in the background. Lewis up to 3rd straight away. Holland has to settle for 4th. As contact through turn 1, someone's off in the gravel.
Oh, it looked like Holland nearly put Montecchinos in the wall there going along the pit straight. That was really close, but we got a few cars off in that first braking zone, and looks like they'll get through turn 3 safely. But watch this. Look at this.
This is the lead.
Yep. So what has happened then to Mies? He has had a little bit of a mistake, and Quero goes by. Oh, big wiggle there from Nathan Lewis, but just about holds it together, and the Punto Red team are in 1-2 at the moment.
Out of turn 3, a bit of a slow exit cost Meets, and Quero was able to go by. Lewis tried around the outside at 5 and discovered there's not much grip out there for the rear tyres to get the power down smoothly. So through the carousel as Rodrigo meets them, has fallen to second. There's drama.
Oh, Fishman, Eisler's off. Oh, at the bottom of hurry downs. So, well, there's not much hurrying going on here. They've had a bit of an issue there, and that's a very tight braking zone there, as well as, oh goodness me, you see the cars, they almost porpoise slightly on the straights because they're so aerodynamically sensitive, and when they hit the bumps, you can see them porpoising around. But, well, who'd have thought that? Quero has got the jump on Mies, and by a decent margin as well. Look at, oh, that'll get the, straight in the wall, straight in the wall for Mies. Our pole sitter is straight in the wall, and that's his race done.
Toes back to pit lane, drummer in the background as well. From pole to a DNF in the space of about 4 miles for Rodrigo Meets. What on earth happened to him? As there's a move for P3 to turn 1. Montecinos takes it away from David Holland. What a drama-filled opening lap that was at Road America. Plenty of incidents. A lot to recap. Was there contact with Lewis? Did he lose it on the grass? Let's take a look at some of the replays then from this dramatic opening to this race. Let's look at Rodrigo Meets first and figure out what he's done in this LMP2 car. Heading towards Canada corner, all is good. He's settled in the second here, Peter.
Yeah, I think it's into turn 13, the blind entry there. So he's fine out of Canada corner, but this is the blind entry. What happens? Maybe with the curb inside? No. Just the bump and bang. Oh, God, that's a big one. I think that might have been the tyres just not quite up to full temperature and full pressure. And when he just hopped over the bump, the car just let go. These Dalaras are so stiff as well, so they do not like the bumps anyway. But I think that was the mistake he made on the exit of turn 3 as well. And yeah, it's all going on at the back there as well. So, whew, what a start to this opening encounter.
Meanwhile, at turn 1 on that first lap, that was Sean Romig getting turned around in the congestion. Someone else skating all the way out through the gravel might have kept it off the tyre bundles as well. And at the end of lap 2, it is Mauricio Quero that holds a 2.4 second advantage over Nathan Lewis in second. Montecinos getting himself up to third at the beginning of this lap. David Holland behind him. Then comes Calquid in fifth. Then comes this battle back here for P8 and P9. Mark McDonald has got Sean Valendia to his inside. McDonald's going to lift off and let him go as Ciso Bagai comes out of pit lane, a lap down. Right in front of his teammate, Ted Lowendijk. Lets them go.
Well, what a start. So, I tell you, this is a good run so far from McDonald in that wonderful, almost Air Force stealth bomber paint scheme as well. And he's got McGrath in the Pure Sim car behind him, using plenty of curb on the entry there into turn 5, and then up underneath the Corvette bridge at turn 6. Really tricky braking zone there. Trying to get the car turned as well is very, very hard indeed. It is a proper driver circuit, this, Ryan. So challenging.
Picking the right line through this corner in a minute as well is so tricky. Through the carousel, you've got to keep your momentum up as much as you can, but I suppose in these cars it's a little bit easier. You just plant the right foot and the downforce helps you stick to the racetrack, but it can be quite tricky in some lesser downforce short cars. On lap 1 you were going on about the cars porpoising over the straights, and you made me search up porpoise and all I found was an aquatic animal. What on earth are you talking about?
Yeah, it's a bit of it's a term they were talking about it at Le Mans actually this year, where the Soul Dallara P217 in the field, run by the Cetilar team, Italian team, they were talking about have that kind of porpoising action, which is, I think you'd maybe need to go on YouTube, Brian, to see how a porpoise travels through water. I can only presume that's what it means, but it's basically when it wobbles about on the straight, for lack of a better description, which obviously I am clearly. So let's see, where are we? We've got the number 44 here of Montecinos with Holland behind him, and there won't be any love lost between those two because Holland very nearly put Montecinos in the wall, just going over the green flag. So this could be an interesting little battle here. But
that's a mistake from Montecinos.
Monte
To left front, and Holland goes through. Kaplan's going to say, "Don't mind if I do," as well, and that one little error going to cost Montecinos 2 spots, Peter, and it's also dragged Fridays into the fight too. So now 4 cars scrapping over 3rd place, 5.6 seconds away from the leader at the start of the lap, now 6.8 already.
Indeed, and of course this carousel, you're right, it's a really tricky corner here, even in a prototype, but even more so in a GT car. And I watched a track instruction video with Patrick Long around here, the Porsche factory driver, and he says the best thing to do is to split the carousel into 2, kind of treat it as almost like a double apex right-hander or 2 right-handers, and do it that way. So I've tried it, and it certainly helped me gather a 10th or 2, but nothing like the pace these guys are doing at the front here. And well, Quero, it's his race to control now. He's pulled out a gap of 3 seconds already from Nathan Lewis. Quero, the only guy anything under 1 minute 50 at the moment, so he's flying.
It's interesting, we rewind to qualifying. It was Holland, the closest challenger to Quero, and meets the teammates. Well, now he's 6.7 seconds away. Now that he's got himself clean air once again, doesn't have Montecinos in front of him. I wonder if he can find some outright pace to fight with once more, as suddenly there's a glow of sun casting itself over the top end of the racetrack. Track time dips a degree or 2 since the start. Battle for P7, Uribe about to be under a lot of pressure from a hard-charging Sean Valendia, who's already come up 4 spots in this race, looking to make it 5. Neither of them were that great down at turn 5, but, well, when you both make a mistake, no one's going to improve.
Indeed, and, well, for Valendia, he's done a great job because he got that great toe in qualifying, and here he's maximising everything he's got and takes a lot of curb there on the inside of Hurry Downs at turn number 8. Very, very close indeed to getting us a big bump there on the inside. You've got to be very careful. Up towards the corner they call the kink, as you can see why, just pretty much flat out here. And this is the place where, well, Catherine Legg back in 2006 had one of the most horrible crashes you'd ever likely to see in a champ car, but thankfully walked out of it. But a very, very quick and quite scary corner.
It is, I suppose, easy flat in these cars, but it is a lot more treacherous in some other vehicles, and even in these incredibly quick machines, you get your line slightly wrong, you're in for a world of hurt. There's 2 scraps here, the one for P5 up the road, and the one for P7. We're on board with Valendia as he closes. Look at the rate of knots at which he reduces that gap, decides not to poke the nose up the inside of Uribe there. Waiting, biding his time to wait for turn 5. You can see at the front of the shot the P5 scrap. They're basically replicating each other. Oh, except for that mistake. That was Fridays grabbing the grass on the outside, hitting the grass on the inside, and losing 2 spots as a result. Going to slot in behind Valendia, who was unable to get by Uribe on that straight.
What was really interesting there when we were on board with Valendia was basically you watched him try to turn into turn 1, and he was really having to put a lot of steering input in and not quite hitting the apex. And I suspect that might have been due to following the car in front, or not being able to follow the car in front that closely, due to the turbulent air that comes out the back of the car in front. I think that aero wash that we were talking about at Silverstone last week, that appears to be an issue here as well. Of course, this track it's got some similarities to Silverstone, a lot of fast sections and a lot of high-speed corners. So I just wonder if that was maybe Valendia. We'll need to just keep an eye on that with some of the other drivers if they're experiencing the same issue.
I saw it through the kink as well. A lot of lock going through that car as he tried to get it turned. I put it down to the dirty air of the car in front. The understeer does bring about extra tyre wear on those front tyres, which will hurt him a lot later on in the race. So he's got to be careful he doesn't overwork that car a little bit. And this is a decent scrap for P14. Michael Overbay's just taken away that spot on this lap. Rodrigo Munoz now sits behind him in 15th, then Christopher Richards and David Cristelli in the scrap as well. 48 minutes left to go on this race, just over 10 minutes in. And Overbay is on the march forward. He's got himself past all the drivers in this scrap. He started 19th, Munoz started 21st, Richards started 24th, Cristelli started 26th. And behind them, De Hamel started 27th, so all of them have made good progress early.
They have an Overbay a second quicker than Munoz behind them last time around, so you're right, he's on a bit of a tear, as we see. The 49 machine of Christopher Richards having a wee look up the inside there. There is Christopher.
That's a very tricky corner, that one there, Peter. Sorry. It's very tricky, that one, isn't it? Because it's not quite straight enough, or I guess acute enough to go flat out. But it's not quite turn 7. It's not quite a full lift off the throttle, is it, either?
No, it's not. It's again, you've got to just if you are going to make a speed adjustment, you've got to make it early. You can. I think a lot of it depends as well as that how you trim these cars as well, how you set up the aerodynamics, because there's a lot of adjustability on these cars. They're very modern, obviously, LMP2 cars. So there's lots of dive planes you can play about with, of course, the rake and the ride heights, and there's lots of adjustability. Now, here at Road America, it's quite a compromise because you've obviously got a lot of really long straights, which you want the car to be as slippery and have as low drag as possible. However, you need the downforce in the high-speed corners, which of course adds drag if you set a car on downforce. So I think a lot of it will, that's where the fine-tuning, the hours and hours of practice, not just practice to learn the circuit and learn the car, it's just fine-tuning that setup until you've got it absolutely right. And that, one of the challenges of entering a competition like we have here in the Precision Racing League is if it's an open setup, you've got to put the time in, because if you don't, and you don't have the right setup on the car, you will not have the chance to compete.
Indeed, you won't. Playing back up to turn 7 now. On board with Chris McGrath. You know what? I watched his speed through there. It did not go down at all. I wonder if he did take it flat out.
I think you just, and I'm not going to use myself as an example here. I was doing some laps in the car earlier on, and I think as with the cool track temperature, it's just about flat, but you've got to use all of the road on the entry and on the exit, and that is where the exit is there, and then all of a sudden it's not. The curb drops away quite quickly, so. And then, of course, you've got to get the car straightened up, ready for hurry downs. So it's just about, and I suspect, I'm interested, maybe we can get an on-board shot next time with one of the guys, maybe Quero, and I suspect it will be just about flat, which means I would be sort of having to keep my left foot on top of my right foot to keep my foot down, because I would be wanting to wimp out. But Quero, I suspect he'll be slinging it around there, 99% throttle at least.
Well, if anyone can lift off, it's him, because he's got this gap. He doesn't need to push it.
True.
I think there's a bit of a confidence lift, not coming all the way out of the throttle, but just a little bit. So let's ride on board with Mauricio Correa then, as we dive down the hill in towards turn 5. Pick your braking point from the right-hand side, very late in these cars, then tip it in, meet the apex on the inside. Don't run it out too wide, then turn 6 is unsighted over the crest. Find the apex, and then turn 7. Let's listen on board.
That's pretty flat. That's as flat as you'd want to be. And do you know what, though, Ryan? More importantly, that's smooth as silk through there.
Yeah, interesting to note, his mid-corner speed was 6 kilometers an hour faster than McGrath's from last lap. So he's really pushing it through there. Interesting to note where the speed's being found for him. 270 as he comes through the kink. Incredibly fast. And we move back then to this McGrath and Friday's battle. McGrath hits 270. Friday's 272 in the draft. He is so close, but he just can't find a way by. As we come towards Canada Corner, the straight is about a couple 100 meters too short for him to make a move into here. Canada Corner. Names for reasons no one really knows. Plenty of rumors go about, though.
Well, what I can tell you is that I saw probably the best overtaking manoeuvre I've ever seen at Canada Corner last year in the Michelin Pilot Challenge with fellow Scotsman Robin Liddell in a Chevrolet Camaro in the soaking wet rain and goes around the outside at Canada Corner. I was like, he's not going for this, is he? No, well, actually, I didn't even think that because I didn't even realise that was what he was trying to do. And then he just swept around the outside and took the position and ended up winning the race as the McLaren in front of him went to press the radio to say, hey, we've won the race. And he actually hit his pit limiter and Robin went past and nicked it on the line. So it was Canada Corner. Believe it or not, you can go around the outside in the wet in a Chevrolet Camaro, but unless you're Robin Liddell, best not to try it.
Yeah, I don't think we'll be seeing that in any of these cars. They are too quick through there to get around the outside, barring mistakes, of course. Back down towards turn 8, 90-degree left-hander. See a lot of cars lock up and run wide and go straight at that corner, but no issues for drivers this time around. And then turn 9 and turn 10, both encompassed within the the carousel.
Yeah, they all just appear to have just settled in now, haven't they, Ryan? It's a long race, you know. It's we're only a third of the way through, and it's you just have to get yourself into a rhythm. And this is a really nice track to drive in this particular car when you just get into a really nice groove, hit your marks, and here we are. Here's the Rush Racing guys in, well, definitely the best looking cars in the field. Stephen Girardi and Mark McDonald, brilliant. I love how they've got their initials as well on the shark fin of these cars as well. Very cool indeed. But the pit lane window will be opening on the next lap.
Will we see any early takers? Or are we all going to see them go long? I'd say probably the latter, based off our previous experience in this series over the first 3 rounds, as Verratti drops to left sides off the exit of the racetrack there in turn 1, just a little bit. Gets away with it. How about this side by side? Munoz trying to get underneath the 16th place man of David Cristelli. Can't quite do it, and he might actually lose a spot in all of this, as well as Fishman tries to get around his outside, and he will. And who's going to come with him but Christian Eisler? And this went very badly for Rodrigo Munoz. Look how much quicker Fishman was. There's contact. They both go around. Eisler with nowhere to go. And Munoz gets all his spots back.
That was never making the corner there. I tell you what, I was just about to say, well, Fishman, he could maybe do with pitting because he's getting held up here. And actually, Fishman and Eisler were involved in the same incident on lap 1, so they will have plenty to talk about afterwards in the bar, as we say. And yeah, just couldn't really go on.
I think Fishman was making that corner if there wasn't a car there.
Possibly, yeah. Certainly, maybe on the running a little wide, but yeah, that's a fair point. But yeah, you've got to be prepared when you're the car in front was just taking the line as well. So that is a controversial one, shall we say?
Issue is there was a car there. So
yes, exactly. Yes, exactly. Well, there's another story I was just about. There was another well-known phrase I was about to say there, and not fit for broadcast.
Was it the Scots ruin Scotland?
I'll tell you afterwards, Ryan. Shall we do it? Yeah, I'll just tell you afterwards.
Okay. I think we just caught an eye. 20th place, Sean de Hamel, been elevated up a couple of spots thanks to that drama down at turn 5. He's got Kenny Rodriguez right behind him. And Sean Romig for close company as well. There they go as they flash through turn 1. Romig thought about the big lunge up towards turn 1, and when Rodriguez backed out of his move on the car in front, decided maybe not, as we jump on board at the roof cam of Sean Romig now. Remember, this car was in the gravel at turn 1 on lap 1 after starting 11th. Has recovered to 19th. Definitely a top 15 still on the cards for this man, I'd say. And this train actually starts with Rodrigo Munoz now up there in 16th.
Yeah, right. He is the locomotive at the front of the train. So down they go towards Hurry Downs. Really tricky corner here, down onto the brakes. Got to get turned in early, back on the power and shoot towards the carousel. And this is where a car with a lot of downforce, it's very nice. I tell you what, the IndyCar guys must have an absolute ball here when they make their annual visit.
Yeah, did you notice Munoz there? Not Munoz, sorry, Rodriguez. Car shot out from the apex mid-corner, and then he tucked it back in. Look at the exit it's given him. Through the kink, down this straight, if you want to call it, into Canada corner, gets the inside line, and gets by. Romig tries to go through as well as Rodriguez overshoots, grabs the gravel. Romig going to get 2 for his troubles. Not a bad effort from Romig. He's up to 17th, just like that. Rodriguez gets 1, loses 1. Into Hamill goes back 2, and Steve Gaiori says, "Hello, I am joining the party."
Oh my, if I may say so, excellent cameras there from not only our cameraman Dougie Beard and producer Joe Peake. That was brilliant to ride on the front bonnet of the Dallara P2 there, of the 71 car of Sean Romig, and we saw all of that action unfold. And well, not even a bird's eye view, a grandstand view. That was fantastic stuff. And Sean Romig, well, he's got 3 for the price of 1, and he's off.
Munoz is getting pretty lucky. Every group that catches him seems to disintegrate itself, or at least trip over itself, and so he's still +5 in this race, but Romig is coming, and there's every chance he drags Rodriguez and co with him. Could be a 5-car train very shortly. Back up the order, though, for Mauricio Cuero. He holds a 2.4 second advantage in this race. After getting away early, he hasn't done much to extend the gap, but he's kept it constant, and that's all he needs to do. There's a comparison, in fact, of the margin.
I think he's just had to lap, and he's just had to lap. I think Galaz and Bagai, and I think just getting past those guys is what's hampered him, and because he's now past them and off on his way. So I think that's just a little bit of lap traffic to worry about, but that will have given Nathan Lewis a bit of a little bit of impetus there to get back on to his case. And well, last time around he steadied the ship 1 minute 50.1, and Nathan Lewis 1 minute 50.7. So Cuero back to business as usual with that slight blip, getting his way through some of the lap traffic. So
he had extended the gap, but by doing so, it allowed him to still be comfortable, even with that mishap on the previous lap. So 3 seconds now. It stands between him and Lewis in second. There's a move up the inside for Byron Daly at turn 5. Executes very nicely. Way slow car on the exit. 2 slow cars on the exit. Daly now losing 2 spots. And that was the 23 that was in a very awkward spot. That was a rebate. Peter, what happened?
Well, let's have a look. There's cars everywhere. Let's see what happens to Uribe first of all. Gets on the power early, and biff, the 96 of Fredes gets into it. Didn't really have anywhere to go, and they're both spread across. And I tell you what, this is I don't know what Byron Daly has to do, because he's been so impressive, and for whatever reason he just seems to get so unlucky getting involved in others' incidents.
I wonder if Fredes actually got a hit in the back as well once he'd slowed down from one of the Romig Lowendyke team cars. Wait for it. There. As it flashed by, maybe.
Perhaps, but tell you what, these guys do a good job to get out the way, and interesting that now who was that? My apologies. That Freddy's takes a toe back, so he must have had a lot of damage.
Yeah, it was Lowendyke that flashed by. And there is no damage to Lowendyke's car, so I reckon he got away with it. There's Arube. He's continued on. He has gotten away with it for now, at least. But he is back in 12th. He's lost 6 spots from that kerfluffle. Stephen Varady right in behind him, already losing out to him on this lap down towards turn 1, left-hand side of your screen. Positions gained, positions lost in this one. Plus 13 for Daly, even with all the drama he's been involved in. For the most part, keeping his nose clean.
Tell you what, Quero is just in his own universe. I mean, if you look at the outright best times, he's still the only guy to break the 1 minute 50 barrier, and he broke it in a big way. 149.7 was his fastest, and Lewis's fastest 150 flat, Holland 150.2, Carl Quinn 150.5, and that 150.5 was all the way down through a lot of the mid-pack as well. So Quero operating in another world, but you just wonder if well, I guess we'll never know. Did Rodrigo Mies have the pace to run with his teammate? I would suggest he did.
Leading the championship as well. Not great news for him. Should note that this other level that Quero is on has cost him half a second on this lap. So another mistake from him. He's starting to show signs of weakness that Lewis will be seeing. You'll notice the gap coming down by half a second on the last trip around of the circuit.
Yeah, that's got to be so motivating as well for Lewis when Quero cleared off into the distance, and then you're going, oh wait a minute, I've just pulled half a second out of him, and that's a fair margin at this level as well. So Nathan Lewis, that will be motivating, but they are starting to. They will have to. Oh, now who's this? Who's gone off? It is Christopher Richards in the wall on the exit of turn 14, but he's done it right at the pit lane. So if you're going to crash, that's a good place to crash.
Yeah, if ever there's a good place to crash. What's he done? Grass on the outside on the exit? Yep.
Oh, actually, I think you don't even know if he even got in the grass. Just got into that paint really and just asked for the power, and Romick is just like, oh, not again.
Looks like Munoz dived to pit road as well to drive around him. I think he did. He just tagged the grass to the left side. So Munoz pitted on that lap as well. I saw him peeling off to pit road around the stricken car of Richards. Gap at the front stabilised, gone back out to 3 seconds.
It'll probably be another 4 laps of fuel left, I would suggest, for Quero. So when will he decide to come into pit lane? I mean, while you've got the clean air, just keep popping in the laps and see what you can do. Let's see what the comparison is this time around. So Quero 150.5 last time. Sorry, my timing screen's just refreshed. 149.8 for Quero last time around. 150.3 for Lewis. So that half a second you got the last time, Quero is going, I'll have that back. Thank you very much.
The gap is very much seesawing up and down right now. With 30 minutes remaining in this race, here's Sean Valendia and Chris McGrath. You know, I feel like I've seen this battle before in this race. Although I feel like it was McGrath in front of Valendia last time.
Very jazzy overall.
Is this a helmet cam? I think so. Yeah, jazzy overalls for McGrath. It is Dallara. I was just holding my breath in the braking zone though. He got very close. You can see how he closes up in the braking zone and then the gap opens back out again as they come out of the corners. That's very normal. It's the ebb and flow, the concertina effect through the corners. Is Valendia just drops the left sides off at turn 7.
It's interesting. McGrath are using first gear going through underneath the Corvette bridge at turn 6. Quite unusual there. So he's maybe got a much taller first gear, perhaps, than normal. But I don't. Well, actually, I don't think you can go in and change each gear individually. I think you can either have a short stack, a standard stack, or a long stack. And I would imagine they will be on the standard stack for this particular circuit.
If I was McGrath, I would come to pit road here, because you come now, you get some clean air, and you can pump out a really good lap time. Unless he feels he's being pulled along by Valendia, because remember, Valendia was behind McGrath, so, you know, in theory, he should be able to stick closer to him. Now that he's ahead, he's got that toe around the racetrack.
Their best lap time is almost identical. McGrath's best lap time a 150.590, Valandia 150.568. So they're incredibly close in lap time. The iRatings are incredibly similar, and their last time around, the 150.0 plays 150.0. So sorry, 151.0. My apologies. So they're, I think actually McGrath might be playing a little bit of a masterstroke here. He could be saving a bit of fuel, perhaps even having to follow Valandia.
Here's Pablo Valenzuela Uribe. He's down on pit road. Stationary for 22, 23, 25. A long time. 30 seconds up. There you go, stationary for 31.5 seconds. Total pit lane transit time, 63.5 seconds. So you lose about a minute coming to pit road, but that seems long.
I wonder if we maybe just sorting out a couple of repairs, maybe, perhaps. We didn't see the car go up on the jack, so no tyres taken, as you rightly said earlier on. Double stinting the tyres is no problem, especially in these weather conditions.
Well, here comes Coro.
Leader in the lane.
Yeah, here comes Coro. We'll find out how that stacks up then. As the leader dives in and is followed by Nathan Lewis and David Holton and Horatio Carquin and Montecinos and Valendia and Lowendyke and everyone except Mark McDonald, who continues front of the lap.
So that is, what is that? That's about 34 minutes on a tank. So I was actually surprised. I would have thought they would have gone for one more lap, actually, but obviously not wanting to take any chances there. So this is literally like NASCAR. This race on pit road here. So well, let's see who's going to have the edge.
Seems the pit time for Uribe was pretty on the ball.
Oh, Lewis has beaten him. Lewis has got...
Oh, yeah. 6 seconds quicker on pit road than Quero. So Uribe's time was not on the ball. Quero was also on the slow end of the scale. 28 seconds to Quero's 22 seconds stationary. And Lewis eclipses the 3-second margin and leads the race off of pit road. Doesn't lead the race because 3 cars stayed out. McGrath, Mark McDonald, and Christian Eisler, and all of them jumped these 2. But expect them in next lap. This lap, rather.
Well. So, we won't know, but I suspect, Nathan Lewis has obviously gone to the very edge of what fuel he needs. Well, he races for TQ Engineering Green, so he's going to have to drive green here. He's going to have to be eco style, Scott Dixon style. Well, this is going to be fascinating to see. Will he have the fuel to be able to fend off Quero? But for Quero, he's well, he can play one or two. He's got options now. He can try and really push on and try and get by Lewis, or he can sit behind him, and if all the time that Lewis is having to do the hard work at the front, if he is close on fuel, which it looked like he spent a lot less time in the lane as we saw, well, this is going to be a fascinating tactical battle for the final 25 minutes.
Here I was thinking 3 seconds was going to be more than comfortable on pit road for Quero as McGrath pits. So does McDonald and Eisler. This will release Lewis and Quero back into the lead of the race as Lewis drives it down the pit fence, trying to shake that draft that Quero is getting for free. Up this main straight, through turn 1, the gap closes by a little bit.
Quero's really close here. I tell you what, if Quero can get a good exit out of turn 3 here. Whoa, as Lewis asks for the power and the Michelin's not quite hooked in yet. And, well, a little bit of a slide there. It's very common to see that with these LMP2 cars. Quero in the draft. Is he going to have a look down into turn 5? It would be a big lunge. Well, he thought about it. This is close. And I tell you what, I suspect Quero, he might just sit behind here and just let Lewis do the hard work. Just find out where he's quick, find out where he's maybe not so quick, and then plan the move. Plenty of time to go. Probably got another 13 laps, maybe 12 laps possibly, to go after this one.
If I was Quero, I'd want to do this now because in reality, he doesn't know how much fuel that Lewis has, and he'll have no way of knowing. The longer this goes on, the more confidence Lewis will gain that he could win this race, the harder he's going to start to defend. So, if I'm Quero, I'm wanting to do this as early as possible. We'll see this time as well, once they cross the line, what the gap is back to third place. David Holland, because if they start fighting for the lead, there is every chance that Holland could get up there and fight as well with them, because you start to go much slower when you have to run side by side through the corners. There is Holland. If I had to eye that, I'd say it's probably about 5 or 6 seconds.
Good guess, it is. I just had a wee check at the time screen. It is indeed. Well, this would be fascinating to see then, for sure, how they get on. Look at that. What a good guess, Mr. Lewis. And so, for Quero, well, he's got to be able to set it up. You've got to think turn 5 is got to be the point where he can do it. But Nathan Lewis's Dallara has got some legs down the straight. Doesn't appear to be... Well, Quero doesn't appear to be making much ground on the straight. So maybe Lewis has got that car just a little bit less draggy. Maybe that was the difference in the fuel consumption.
My brain's trying to comprehend how that would all affect each other, so I'm just going to say yes, probably.
Well, so basically, here's the... shall I have to spell it out for you, right? So Nathan Lewis, his car is clearly a little bit quicker in the straight line. And in order to do that, I suspect he's running a little bit lower downforce. And therefore, the car won't be as draggy. And therefore, with it being more aerodynamic and more slippery through the air, he would use less fuel over a stint and therefore less time in the pit lane. So just on my hypothesis of what that might have been.
If you're watching, you'll be thinking, well, why don't we all do that? Why don't we all just make it as less draggy as possible? Downside, the consequence is that through here, the car feels suddenly like a supercar. It does not feel like an LMP2 car. I mean,
Exactly.
It does, but it doesn't in the sense that it could. It is a lot less grippy. There's less mechanical grip. And so it is, in theory, not as quick through the corners. You've got to steer it more yourself and hustle it around. So that's where the trade-off is.
That's right. Yeah, and of course, we saw Quero going through, for example, turn 7, absolutely flat and at very high speed, higher than some of his competitors. So that would indicate that he is maybe running a bit more downforce as well. So that's, but of course, you've got to be able to get the move done. And, well, all very well having high corner speed, but if there's a car parked on the apex, you can't use that to your advantage. So very much a trade-off, and so that's what makes these open setup series so interesting to watch.
Wonder if Quero went for quarter speed, Meats went for straight line speed, and their plan was just to work with each other. Meats tow Quero along.
Good point.
Big gap, and then start fighting, and then Meats crashed on lap 1, and that plan was thrown out the window. I very much doubt it, because setup is very much a driver preference thing. Some drivers prefer having the extra mechanical grip through the corners to assist them. Some drivers are able to hustle it around the twisty bits more comfortably than others. And so they dial the aero out. They give themselves more straight line speed. Quero seems to be able to carry that straight line speed. 199, 200 for McDonald through turn 7. Remember Adolf Quero's 205 through there earlier on in the race.
Yeah, interesting stuff indeed to see how that's trimmed out. Of course, with the aerodynamics, if they're trimmed out, the car will oversteer more as well. And if you've got a lot more aerodynamics, the car can tend to understeer as well. So it can depend on the balance that you like as well. You're absolutely right, Ryan. It's very much personal preference and depend on the circuit too, as well, in terms of the grip available as well. So 80 minutes to go, and Quero doesn't look to be making much of an impression into Lewis. In fact, last time around, Lewis was about a tenth and a half quicker. So Nathan Lewis has maybe just been keeping a little bit of an ace up his sleeve.
And that ace is some very good car speed. We were watching Mark and David McDonald do battle for a little while there. And then David dove down a pit road and left his, I'm assuming, brother all alone out on the racetrack. Just ahead of him, though, is a battle not for position. Rodrigo Munoz is 22nd. He's managed to find himself a lap down in all of this, and he's right behind Chris McGrath, who's still running an 8th. So this has really gone from bad to worse for Munoz. He was up there, and he was fighting for a decent spot after starting from 21st, but that's all gone missing for him, and he's now the first car a lap down. As we see through turn 5, there's Stephen Verratti running quite wide. Michael Overbay behind him, then Uribe as well, and laps down car of Cesar Bagay.
Interesting that Quero's not dropping Holland either. That gap is still sitting around 5 seconds as well. But for, well, Lewis, he is just starting to stretch a little bit more again on this lap. He's now sitting at about 1.3 seconds between Nathan Lewis and Quero. So we'll see what their lap times are as they go over the line. And at the moment, David Holland is on the same pace. So any mistake at all from Lewis or Quero, and he's right there. And wow, the Quero half a second slower than Lewis. Quero's into the 51s now, 151.0. Both Holland and Lewis both in the 50s. So Quero is not happy on this full tank.
Remember in that first stint when Lewis, on a couple of laps, almost inexplicably gained a chunk of time when Quero made the slightest of errors? Maybe a sign there that Lewis was holding back, and all it took was small errors from Quero to lose the edge he had over a car in Lewis that wasn't going full attack mode.
Very
now it is.
It's certainly, yeah, he's certainly not able to well, he's not got an answer for Nathan Lewis's pace here, running the 27. Of course, a number very famous in Australian motor racing, on two wheels. Of course, Casey Stoner ran that number to his World Championship in 2007, and in 2000.
Indeed, he did. Yeah, don't forget both of them.
One of the most talented racers on 2 or 4 wheels I've ever seen, Casey Stoner. I mean, you could watch him ride a motorcycle all day.
It was certainly not bad. Uribe's got Overbay for close company. Just a couple tenths between them. Got to be careful of the guy as well, just lurking there behind them, wanting to get some track position back. A long way away though from Rodrigo Munoz, so he's not fighting for position at this point. Munoz is about 15 seconds up the road, maybe 10 seconds up the road for him.
So I'm just having a look, Ryan. I wonder, will lap traffic be something to negotiate? At the moment, the only car maybe they have to worry about David McDonald is about 1 minute and 22 seconds off the back, so is Sean DeHamel. But I wouldn't suspect in the next 7 laps that they would catch up with them. So should be, all being well, that Nathan Lewis should have some clear air all the way through. But Quero's starting to respond now, isn't he? He's about a tenth and a half quicker last time around.
We'll take a look at the replay. This was a change of position between Sean DeHamel and David McDonald. Through the kink, McDonald closed in, pulls to the right through kettle bottoms, and that was almost a little bit sketchy.
Great move there. Absolutely brilliant move there from McDonald, and like you said, that was sketchy. A couple more millimeters onto the grass and he was straight in the wall. That was very impressive indeed. And tell you what, Quero is responding. Yeah, he really is. He's now close enough just to get a little bit of a nibble of a draft from Lewis. Let's see when they get them over the line. Let's have a look at the lap times. Oh, that's interesting. Quero 150.5, Lewis a 151.1. So huge delta in time there. So Quero, now he's the man with the bit between his teeth. So this is just going back and forward like an accordion.
This is getting interesting. With 12 minutes remaining, it is not over. Between the top two, Quero starting to fight back. McGrath as well. He's fighting with Lowendyke. Lowendyke was 4 tenths quicker on the previous lap. This is for P7.
Yeah, good move there from McGrath to get that done cleanly. Very impressive indeed. Just 12 minutes to go here at Road America. About 7 laps to go. Thereabouts, depending where the leader takes the white flag. Down they come into turn 5. Oof, you got to be really brave, but careful at the same time on the brakes there. Of course, it just ducks downhill very acutely, and but I tell you what, the braking performance in these LMP2 cars are just amazing. You just absolutely mash your foot onto the brake, and the car just hauls up so quickly. It's so satisfying. You can see how these cars are so much fun to drive.
One second out of the last corner for Lewis over Quero. 11 minutes left to go in this race. 150.4. He edges it out by 2 tenths on that lap. Responds to Quero's extra pace he found on the previous lap. Kicking up a little bit of dust out of the first corner as they use all of the racetrack, starting to push these cars to the absolute edge of their performance, leaving nothing out there on the racetrack. 1.2 seconds. Lewis starting to find some more pace once again.
Indeed, and this is where we're going to see who's best on the old tyres, because this is now coming to the end of their second stint. So this will be the point where the tyres do start to show signs of age. And whoa, there you go. There's Nathan Lewis asking for the power on the curb, and the car just wiggles its head and goes, are you sure? But gets through there cleanly. But Quero will have seen that, but it's very common to see that with these Dallara P2 cars. When they open up the power, you just get that little bit of wiggle, and then off they go. But if you can't control it, you are round like a spinning top. Down towards the kink they go then, and Quero's pushing, but Lewis resisting the pressure for now. But when we get 4 laps on from here, the tyres just going to be that little bit older. Interesting to see how that plays out.
See him fighting the steering wheel on the exit of the corner there. Fighting it around this racetrack. It's not smooth. Despite the downforce on these cars, it's not as simple as turn left, turn right. You've got to fight over the racetrack. Gap edges back down in the last half, so he's pulled in a little bit through that final sector. is working back towards him. But he really needs to get it to about 3/4 of a second to really get that draft in effect.
Well, Nathan Lewis is getting a really good exit here out of turn 3, and Quero is just not quite able to match it. And I think that's a really important part, and because then Lewis has just got that edge on the straight from Quero. But down they go then onto the brakes. Well, does Quero have an answer for him? They're so evenly matched, and amazingly, you know, Quero's fastest lap of the whole race is 0.3 of a second quicker than Lewis's best effort. So an ultimate pace, Quero does have it, but can he bring it out on the old tyres?
Let's take a look at this P12 battle while they're dicing, because up the inside looks Christian Eisler. Remember, he was caught up in that drama down at turn 5 a few laps ago, and he's trying to recover from it as he now gets to the outside of Michael Oberbay. This is going to be awkward, trying to go around the outside at turn 5. Got to be careful on the brakes. Going to try and sweep the long way around. Keeps the car there very nicely, but runs out of road. Now he's on the outside for turn 6 as well. Going to be very close. There is a touch, and Eisler spears off towards the gravel, the grass, and rejoins the racetrack. Now a couple spots worse off for his troubles.
That corner is not easy at the best of time. You just get that bump and wiggle there, and he's just a little bit offline, and Eisler paid the price down into turn 5. They give each other good respect in space here. Up they go towards the Corvette Bridge, turn 6. Eisler goes late in the brakes, and just actually a little bit of contact there, and that is all that Eisler's Dallara needed to go into a bit of a half spin. Really unlucky. Eisler, it's not been his day. Maybe not a day to buy a lottery ticket for him.
Six minutes left. Still a second at the front. All it takes is one little lock-up from Lewis. One slide wide of the apex. All it takes in Quero is the same. And suddenly Lewis is comfortable. It's high stakes.
Lewis was 0.2 of a second quicker last time around, so he is responding to everything Quero throws at him. They go around the carousel, a few laps left here at Road America, and the sun's starting to set, so the track will be cooling down, which will be good news for these drivers and their tyres. Only come down 1 degree since the start of the race, but as you can see, headlights are on, cloud is coming over, so there's this is if anything to play in their favour to keep those tyres in. Oh, there's a bit of a wiggle there on the exit from Lewis as he asked for the power coming out of Canada corner down to turn 14 with just 5 minutes to go. But it looks like Lewis has got every single answer to Quero's questions.
.2 at the line. 5 minutes remaining in this race. Is the pit stop strategy enough for Lewis to steal this one away from Quero? He thought he was comb and dry and comfy with that 3-second gap. Suddenly, he's in a deficit, and he's not showing many signs of being able to eclipse it. We highlighted a few minutes ago McGrath and Lowendijk as well, but that's well and truly in McGrath's favour now. I think Lowendijk's made a mistake as well because he's fallen a long way behind him. So that P7 battle is resumed. There is McGrath. There's Lowendijk all the way in the background. They were nose to tail just a few laps ago.
Yeah, McGrath can just sort of engage cruise mode now. It's about 6 seconds up to Valandia in 6, so he can just hold position now in the Pure Sims car. Of course, Pure Sims racing team you see quite regularly here on iRacing, and one of the owners of that team is Ashley Sutton, who is the 2017 British Touring Car Champion and current championship leader in the 2020 British Touring Car Championship, and a prolific sim racer as well. So I'm sure Team Boss, he'll be happy to see McGrath getting another top 10 here at Road America.
1.5 is the biggest it's been for quite some time now. 4 minutes left. When we cross the line, it'll be 2 laps to go. And now Lewis is starting to get a little bit more comfortable. At 1.5, you can afford to breathe easier. You can't let his foot off the gas. 2 laps left at Road America. Sun is setting. Sky is getting ever more golden overhead.
Another 3/10 there from Lewis, so he is just edging out the gap now from Quero. Probably 2 laps to go, including this one, maybe. Yeah, probably. As they come down through the Moraine sweep down towards turn 5. Tricky braking zone here. Brake about the 2 board down to bottom gear onto the curb. Look at that. Nathan Lewis using a lot of room on the entry to get the best possible exit up towards the Corvette bridge. But looks like Lewis has got this one, certainly got a pretty comfy gap now, Ryan, and that pit stop strategy, well, he obviously must have been saving a bit of fuel in that opening stint.
Indeed he was. What a gain he found on pit road. 6 seconds. Stationary time, the difference between himself and Quero, in favour of himself, obviously. That is a remarkable gap. Through the kink they go, 1.6 that edges out 2. Holland in third is as comfortable as he could be. 7.2 seconds behind the leader, but 13 seconds clear of fourth. Ferrari's just tumbled down the order. That's why.
That's a strange place to go off. That's... no, it's not. It's at the kink. Well, actually, no, that's on the Moraine sweep. So, Moraine sweep, this is a bizarre place to go off. Maybe he's had some sort of technical issue. Just pulls it onto the grass, and that's him done. Maybe it needs to use the bathroom, possibly.
Oh, what a shame for him. He was looking at a decent result as well up the order. As we begin, will it be our final lap, or will we still have 2 to go? When he crossed the line, and I wasn't looking.
Oh, it could be very, very, very tight indeed. Maybe just one more, but we'll... it's going to be very close indeed. Barney the flagman, he's going to have a white flag in one hand and a checkered flag in the other to see. We'll see how it goes. So, and well, but Lewis still just clicking out those laps with such consistency. Again, matches the time of Quero last time around, 1 minute 50.6. He hasn't had the absolute fastest lap of the race, but oh my word, that... Now, when these cars get into a tank slapper, there is not much saving them. Let's get a replay of this then. Down into turn 5, down the gearbox, first gear, clips the apex nicely, back up the hill towards the Corvette bridge once again, up to third, back again, down the gearbox. Now he keeps it in second, interestingly, uses all the exit room, and here we go, this corner, is it onto the grass, big bump. Wow.
Fast end.
Very fast.
But that might be it for him. With 1.7 seconds between them, Nathan Lewis getting around the final corner for the final time. Up the hill and over the crest. For the man that started from 4th, at the end of this race, there is 7, 6, 5, and 1 more lap to go. We were 5 seconds slower. That would have ended it. But there is 4 more miles for him to cover. Which means Quero is going to make sure he doesn't make that mistake again.
Now, if Nathan Lewis did take a risk on fuel, and if he short fueled, then this is going to be a nervous lap for him. Of course, Quero having that enormous moment last time around certainly gives him a little bit of comfort to just stroke the car home. It'd be interesting to get an onboard to see if we can hear if there's any kind of telltale signs in his driving style, just to see if he's just kind of basically tickling the car home. But looks to be on a decent pace so far through the lap, so doesn't look like he's in trouble.
through that carousel for the final time, I can say with definitive force now. For Nathan Lewis. What a drive. What a strategy for him. I don't know whether it was a mistake from Quero. 6 seconds seems almost unbelievable. But either way, he saved up when he needed to. Waited and waited and bided his time in that first stint. And when it matters, he is going to be ahead. This entire last half of the race has been in the hands of this driver, Nathan Lewis. And through the final corner, it is going to be Nathan Lewis. At the end of 60 minutes at Road America, who wins? Lewis gets it done in PRL competition once again. Calquin, yeah, here, Calquin and Lonsicino is coming to the line. Calquin was losing chunks of time, but he's still going to fend him off just as they get to the line there. How about this for P12? It's still alive, Peter.
Uribe just put while he's done the Liddell. He's barged his way through at Canada corner, has Uribe, and he moves Romig out the way, he's been in the wars today. A couple of incidents, he got turned around on the first corner of lap 1, but Uribe breaks his heart to steal 12th position on the very last lap. They drag race over the line, and whoa, what a move there from Uribe.
That was a stunning move to fend him off there. There's still a P17 battle going on as well. Not anymore, there's not.
That's McDonald going by. David McDonald takes the 17th spot, and the 49 of Richards having to settle for a spot further down the field. So he comes over, flashes the lights. Always nice to just get that bonus ball on the last lap.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad. Let's go to a break here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Stay with us when we come back. Your full results and interviews from Road America. Welcome back to the beautiful Elkhart Lake. It got real pretty under that race as the sun almost dipped over the horizon. And this is how things finished at the end of 60 minutes. Nathan Lewis winning by 1.6 seconds over Mauricio Quero in second. David Holland comes home in third. Horatio Calquin picks up P4. Enzo Montalcino's home in fifth out of Sean Valendia. Chris McGrath, Ted Lowendyke, Mark McDonald and Byron Daly made up your top 10.
In 11th place was Michael Overbay, followed by Pablo Uribe, making that brilliant move on Sean Romig to claim 12th spot. Christian Eisler was 14th after a very eventful race for him. Stephen Veradi was 15th, followed by Steve Giorori, David McDonald, Christopher Richards, Sean D'Amel, and Rodrigo Munoz in 20th. Cesar
Bagay was a lap down there in 21st. Hugo Galaz behind him to adrift. Cristelli, 5 Drift in 23rd. Rodriguez, Friedez, Fishman, Ferraris, and Meats all running into issues over the course of this race. But Nathan Lewis, what a drive from you to get the victory at Road America. Pit road, 6 seconds quicker. Saving fuel?
No, tell you what, I wasn't saving fuel at all. There's something interesting with this car. Personally, I've seen in other races, and also I guess I got the benefit where the car gets it fuels up a little bit quicker. So yes, I could have gained some time on the pit entry, but I think I got advantage of iRacing's RNG of the fuel. So I think that's what really helped me the most. Because I did not save any fuel the whole race. I was pushing, so I was surprised when I was able to jump him. He maybe took more fuel than he should have, but I don't know. I think I did get helped by the iRacing fuel.
Yeah, we were thinking you saved a bit of fuel, but then I was thinking 6 seconds is a lot. So maybe I got a little bit lucky there, but still, that run to the end after that, you did a fantastic job to fend him off. It looked like he had the pace over you in the first stint, but you found something at the end. Was it just a case of him being in that dirty air, you think? Or were you able to find an extra gear at the end of that race?
I don't know. It's like I've done races. I did the endurance race here, so I was really good. I knew what to expect after on old tires. So maybe I don't know if didn't expect that, but I was kind of shocked. Like I jumped ahead of him. It was gonna be a tough battle because he was probably a good couple 2 to 3 tenths quicker than me when he was on his A game in the front. But all of a sudden, once I got in front of him, like I was able to keep him. Then I started pulling a bit, and I was kind of surprised that I was able to pull him. So yeah, I was kind of a little bit. I would say I was a little bit surprised I was able to break away the draft. So I thought for sure he was going to be able to get back around me.
Hey, well, you did a fantastic job of it, whether you say fuel or not, and then to get that lead and hold on to it. It's a good job and a good win for you. It might leapfrog you up into the top 5 in the drivers' standings. Half the season left to go. You may be looking at getting up there and fighting for the win.
Yeah, I'll try. Obviously, next week is Watkins Glen, which is my home track, so I'll be prepared for that. So, like, I'll try. Obviously, Silverstone, I didn't drove. I ended up DQing myself because I got too many off tracks. I didn't really practice. But after this one, just give me some experience to get at it and try to fight my way back into the standings, especially after Rodrigo had an off there at the beginning of the race.
Hey, who do you want to thank for helping you get it done today? And their sponsors to help you.
The TQ guys, especially Mike Overby, he did the setup work, and so he allowed me this to drive. And also my teammate Steve, he didn't have much time to practice this week because of his injury, but he still ended up pulling a decent result.
Thank you very much for joining us here, Nathan. Congratulations once again on a job well done today.
Thank you, guys.
Nathan Lewis picks up the win at Road America, and coming home in P3, standing by with Peter Mackay, is David Holland.
David Holland, welcome to the GSRC commentary box. How are you feeling after a podium finish here today at Road America?
Yeah, hey guys. Hey, Peter. Tired, man. I'm worn out. That was a tough race. I didn't really get much practice going into it, just a few laps last night. So yeah, just 100% concentration tonight. I really just try not to make any mistakes. And yeah, I'm happy with P3. I think we had the speed to be up there with them. Just the first few laps of the race kind of set the stage for the rest of it. I pretty much just held them right at the same distance the whole race. Wish I could have been up there fighting for it, but yeah, overall happy with third.
Absolutely, and of course this new Dallara car has been very popular. There's certainly a lot of them out there on the iRacing service right now, but for me, the combination between this Road America circuit and the Dallara P2, it really gives the car room to roam. How did you enjoy it, the combination of the car and circuit today?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. You felt like you could really push it into the turns. Luckily at Road America, you've got some wide curbing on the even in the middle of the turns on the apexes, on the exits. And then you got some grass, and you could definitely get away with pushing it a little too hard here and there. So yeah, it was a lot of fun on this track with this car.
It is, and we're off to Watkins Glen next time out. Is that a track that you gel well with?
Oh yeah, in the F3, I normally did pretty well at Watkins Glen. Like the track, so yeah, looking forward to that one as well.
Even better, you've got a roof over your head with this one, which always helps with the aero as well. So the before we let you go here on GSRC, who would you like to shout out to following your podium today?
Yeah, got to give a shout out to the team, Delta Sports. Wish we could have Carl here tonight as well. Unfortunately, he's out at Road Atlanta with the Zimza team, so should have him back next week. And the team sponsors, Move Up Lynchburg, Race Factory, Driven Texas, and Unified for Kids. Also got to thank my wife for supporting me in all this. She cheers me on every week, so it's awesome. Also, my dad for jumping in and spotting for me and helping out there. And also, congrats to Nathan and Mauricio. Man, Nathan had a heck of a pit stop. I think we need to get the stewards to look at the flow rate on Nathan's fuel cans or something. But yeah, big congrats to him on the win as well.
Yeah, some extra pressure hoses or something like that. And big shout out to Mrs. Holland. Hope she enjoyed the broadcast, and another great podium, David. And looking forward to speaking to you next time.
Awesome. Thanks, Peter.
Well, there you go. That was Nathan Lewis and David Holland who got it done today at Road America, first and third for them. And that brings us to the end of our show here today. Thanks to Simsa and ButtKicker, as always, for the support of the series and Precision Racing League for putting it on each and every week, all their different series broadcasts here on GSRC. Big thanks to the company that provide the software and hardware for our shows. Andrew Nalon provides all of our music. You check out the screen for how to get a hold of any of them. Big thanks as well go to the team with me today, Joe and Peter. You can find out more about GSRC across our social media over at Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global SimRacing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. Also, don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube so you catch all of the action live. Other upcoming races are listed here on your screen, so check them out and mark them down. But for tonight, from all of us here in the booth, thanks for joining us. And until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.